G'day folks, welcome to another episode of Dirtfood, our vegetable garden diary. And today I'm filming inside our hothouse. All the plants, pretty much all, there's a few seeds still here, pretty much all of them around in the garden, and they're all being watered by our lovely storm that's, well, happening even as I speak in here out of the wind and the rain. So look, as the rain comes, I hope you can hear me okay. So look, I was on the internet and I read that Alfred Hitchcock was inspired to do his masterpiece movie, The Birds, because of his experience growing fruit. Not true, but it could be, because if you guys have grown fruit, anyone has grown fruit, and you don't take some measures to protect it, then the birds are going to enjoy it more than you. So today I want to talk about what we do for bird netting. As everything that I cover in this show, it's not like a definitive, this is what you should do. It's simply what we do, what works for us, what we've usually come to after trying many other things and failing many times, and presenting it to you out of the idea that maybe it's interesting and you might get something out of it. So that's the first point. So look, bird netting. We do a couple of different things here to protect our fruit and our veggies from, well, other things that might like them. So look, bird netting, we get fruit fly here from time to time, not all the time, not every summer, but often. So we do fruit fly netting as well, but that's going to be a whole other episode. That's a whole different thing. And we also net some of the vegetables as well, brassicas to keep the cabbage moths away and so on. But today I want to talk about bird netting. So let's get to it. Okay, so bird netting. The first point here is that it's not essential that you actually net the trees. There's all sorts of other deterrents, I guess, that you can use, and way before bird nets were ever invented. Yeah, hello police. Yeah, I want to report some intruders. All sorts of, crafty people throughout the centuries, I'm sure, have tried and worked to invent ways to deter and keep the birds at bay. And look, maybe some of them are worth a go, and I've, thought about and tried a few, but this is where we've come to. So by all means, give the deterrents a go, and then I'll see you back here next year and we'll talk about the netting. Look, the first thing when it comes to fruit tree nets, the first thing that I see as you drive around and you see these nets is that often people's nets aren't big enough. So the first point, and I can't stress it enough, make sure your net is big enough, and it's got to be big enough to reach the ground all over the tree and seal the tree totally. Any little gaps, and trust me, the birds will get in. In fact, somehow they manage to get in even when you don't think there's any gaps, and you've got to pull half the net off and kind of chase the bird out from underneath. So make sure your net is big enough, and if you've seen the video I did earlier on pruning, the first point in that was you prune the trees small enough so that you can net them. Second thing is that make sure you get a net that's really good quality. What do I mean by that? Bird netting is generally a standardized size. I guess they're 1 centimeter, kind of a grid of like nylon netting. But the better quality nets, or the cheaper nets, will just be like one strand of nylon, like a thicker nylon, woven in a kind of matrix. The better quality ones are kind of multi-stranded, sort of woven nylon netting, and you'll see it when you look at the nets in the shop. You'll tell the better quality ones because they will be more expensive, but what happens when you put the fruit net on the tree being a tree, will grow through the net. Over the duration that net is on the tree will grow through it. When you then take that net off, it's fairly common that you'll get little holes in the nets. Be as careful as you can, but it happens. The cheaper ones rip really easily, and you just don't get very long out of them. They'll also perish much sooner. So really worthwhile to get the better quality nets. The other point about making your nets bird proof isn't just the size and making sure that it's sealed all the way around the bottom. We use bricks, metal poles, anything that we've got on hand, because that's in a garden, that's what you do, to seal it up as best you can. But as I mentioned, your nets can get holes in them, so we patch them. We just use the blue baling twine that ties up the bales of hay and straw that you get, and we just use that, and it's all rough and ready. But we go through the nets, we lay them all out. If you're so inclined, you can do it on a nice sunny afternoon with a cool beverage and take your time and patch your nets. But go through any holes in them and just patch them. One of the things that I've seen recently, I actually saw some photos on Facebook, quite disturbing, is birds caught in bird netting, which is terrible. But they're black nets. We've never used black nets, only ever used white nets, and never ever had a bird caught in the nets. We'll get birds inside the nets, so the nets are in fact encasing the bird with its bounty of fruit, and you just have to lift the net up and chase it out. No damage caused to the bird. But black nets, I just think the birds can't see them and they fly into them and get caught. It just feels like not a good way to go. If you've had experience with black nets and been successful, by all means let me know, because I would love to know. But my feeling is, we've just had zero problems with white nets, and I just don't see any reason to go for black nets. If it's a visual thing, the black nets are not as prominent. I figure I don't care. Fruit nets are just part and parcel to me of growing fruit, and I couldn't care less what they look like from the outside. And if it means that birds are going to get caught in them, if you've got black nets, to me, that's too high a price to pay. My 2 cents worth. Try and leave the nets on as short a time as possible. Leave it as long as you can before you put them on. Then wait for till you harvest the fruit, and then get them off as quick as you can. The trees will grow through them, no matter how short that duration is. But the more that the trees grow through the nets, the more problem you're going to have taking the nets off, the more they can rip, the more beverages you're going to have while you're patching them. So short as possible time. And the other thing that I would say is, as I said, we don't get any problems with birds getting caught in the nets, but we do from time to time trap snakes. And that's an issue for a couple of reasons, but the first, I guess, is a cautionary tale. Be aware that bird netting, that kind of 1 centimetre type matrix, is just the perfect size, it would seem, to trap snakes. So always be careful when you approach a net with that idea that just might be something undesirable caught around the base of it. Yeah, it's a bad state of affairs. Doesn't happen very often, but it has happened on a number of occasions, and that is something that is certainly where we are, but I think any kind of rural place, that's a possibility. So just something to be careful of. That would be my summary of our approach to bird netting. You might have seen, as we've done tours around here before, weird looking, alien radar type structures with posts and black tubing going over the fruit trees and so on. That's not for bird netting. That's what we use for fruit fly netting, and that'll be another video. Totally separate style and net and a different kettle of fish altogether. But for fruit netting, it's totally fine. Just put the fruit net straight over the tree. The understory of the tree, I guess, is something to consider as well. It's a bit of a problem with weeds and stuff growing up if the net is on for a long period of time. So I always go through with a whippersnipper first, a brush cutter, and kind of cut all the weeds down, put the net on, and then by the time the net comes off, it's not too much of a problem. We have also in the past, you may have seen a black matting, a black material that's gone down under some of our fruit trees, and we have experimented with that. It's a weed mat, and it works pretty well, but it does require maintenance and it does break down over time, like over so many years. Anyhow, enough of that, enough of me. That's it for our bird netting. That's it for the episode. If you like this, please subscribe on YouTube. Tell your friends. If you don't like it, don't tell your friends, just tell me. But if you've had good experience, bad experience with netting, let me know in the comments. That'd be terrific. And until next time, see you later. Cheers.